Are you able to see if you're live?
Yep, I
You
can
can.
see that
Oh,
we are live on
wow.
Facebook
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think
and we
that.
are recording Zoom.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We'll see who's
Hi.
coming. Just maybe wait a few minutes, seconds. Yep. So for those of you watching the replay, this is what we do weekly. Oops.
Weekly, yeah?
Oops, sorry. Oh, hang on. I think I'm having a double replay somehow. I'm hearing twice of myself. Okay, there you go. Okay. Hey, I think John is here. Hi, John. Thank
Hi,
you,
John.
John. It's always very supportive and encouraging.
Very supportive.
Yeah. Okay, so hi everyone, this is Sofie and Deddy, and we're
Hi.
here on Hearty Chats, and this is what we do. We get speakers, we get experts and moms who come and really share, matters close to the heart. And for the last few weeks, we've been talking about mental emotional wellness for kids, and each week we had different themes according to that. So we had things like relationship with parents, self-esteem, and listening and respect. And this week, we were really focusing on problem-solving skills, which is so important in supporting mental emotional wellness. And I'm so excited today that Deddy is joining us because he's going to be talking about what the skills of tomorrow are and how, as parents, we can equip our children with them. So
Yep.
welcome, Deddy. Thank you for joining
Hi,
us.
thanks, Sophie, for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to introduce you a little bit more. You are the co-founder of Cocoon Academy, right?
Yep.
Very
So
interesting.
Cocoon has been established for about close to 5 years now. We teach
Wow.
kids not just coding skills, but also other tech-related courses as well. Yeah, so as young
Amazing.
as 6 years old, all the way to 16.
Whoa, 6 years old. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more how you got into this? Because I know that you have a passion for teaching and mentoring.
Yes. Actually, I've started teaching since I was in secondary three. Yeah,
Ah,
and I was doing this more of like I remember the first student that I had was a Sec 2 student. I was more or less sharing my notes, social study notes,
oh,
with this student. Yeah,
okay.
and ended up becoming a teacher. Then and I continued teaching after that. I remember there was one time I think after O level, I have I think O level or A level. I had I think 8 months break, and that was after A level, right? And I was just seated in King Albert Park McDonald. So
Okay.
from afternoon all the way to night. So we had students after students, and remember I ate McDonald's for like 8 months. Yeah, so I was very passionate about teaching,
So you were
and
tuition at McDonald's. Oh,
yes, before it got
wow.
demolished and
Yes,
all
that
that.
must be so nostalgic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I wanted to do education, so I know that I had to come back, right? It's just that which area I want to come in. Yeah, so I didn't want to go into tuition and all that. I wanted to do something that's a bit different, right? Where I see a gap. So I remember one of my friend coming back from Hong Kong, right? And he said that indeed I had an internship in Hong Kong. And he said that I had this company and I was doing this consulting for a company where they did CSR consulting, and the company was teaching kids coding for free in Hong Kong, right? And I was saying, which company is it? He said, oh, no, for he couldn't mention it. But after that, he said that. Then I was thinking, for in Singapore, we want to be a smart nation, but yet at that time, 5 years ago, uh, coding was something that is quite unheard of. So
Mm,
that was when I feel that there was a gap. Yeah.
yes.
And
Yes.
and I reached out to my co-founder, Himi. He was my one of the few information system friend or coding guy, and we came out together to do this. Yeah. So the
Oh,
rest is
awesome.
history, right? And we've been growing a
Wonderful.
lot of students and grooming them in this area.
Yeah, this is really
Yeah.
amazing. Actually, I have a triple E background. So I had
Ah,
to learn programming to graduate.
wow.
Yeah. And I mean during my time I think I can't even remember what sort of language it was, but it wasn't a very accessible language, I think, 10,
Yes.
20 years ago. And I'm so glad that, it's so much more accessible now and kids can actually learn coding because it's a very good tool. It's actually a very logical kind of tool and it's very applicable for daily life and even how we solve things.
Correct.
We've got a question from Tin in the comments. She's asking, is STEM the same as coding? Do you want to answer that?
Okay. STEM is a bigger umbrella,
Hmm.
right? So STEM now is even, we have even new acronym called STEAM, STEAM, right?
Oh.
Where this is really a multidisciplinary aspect of things where we combine science, technology, engineering, math, and arts, right? So arts is part of the A. Now, I give you an example, right? Because coding itself is just the T, the technology part, right?
Hmm.
So for example, if I were to teach a student how to create an automated plant watering system, right? It is more than just coding. There is the science
Hmm.
part where the kids have to learn about germination, how much water they need, right? The T part is the coding because I
Hmm.
have to code a chip to be able to regularly water the plant and sensors that will detect when the plant is thirsty or when the soil is dry. Engineering is about piecing things together, the crocodile clip, where should it go to, right? The arts usually is designing the pot. That's where we get the kids to do a bit of that pixel art. And the math
Oh.
is calculating the average because there's threshold for the sensors, right?
Yes.
When exactly should we pass a certain threshold to say that the soil is dry and therefore
Mm.
trigger a certain action, right? All this is very popular now, especially in Singapore schools, where they are not just looking at coding per se, they're combining coding into an application. That's where the
Wow.
word STEM come out.
So it's very
Yeah.
interesting. I'm really
Yes.
excited to even want to be part of that. It speaks to me as an engineer, like, whoa, putting everything
Yeah.
together, but it makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is that something you offer in your academy, or it's just you
So
do
we
mainly
usually
the
do
coding
this
part of it?
for more for holiday programs
Oh, wow,
or school
exciting.
programs because we work with schools as well. And usually schools are not because also from their budget perspective, right? They don't just look at coding per se as a CCA. They look at
Mm.
interdisciplinary subjects to put together into projects.
Mm.
Yeah. There are also projects where kids create things like smart fish tank, right? Where they literally bring back guppies, and now the smart fish tank is able to detect when the child should change and wash the tank. So
Okay.
there is a sensor at the top that detects the light passing through at the bottom, right?
Mm.
If the amount of light received by the sensor goes down to a certain level, means the water has gone milky, and that is when there is a trigger and a buzz to say that you need to change water. So these are some of
Wow.
the things that is getting into the school, right? The kids
Yes,
are getting more hands-on
that's
with
great.
this, and it's all interlinked, right? There is coding, there is science, there is math, engineering. Yeah.
Mm. So it's really putting together all the science topics that you're learning as well,
Yes.
to make
Yes.
things
Correct.
happen. And that yeah, wow. So
Because things are
on that,
getting more complex.
yes.
This is the reason why we are keeping it to a bit broader interdisciplinary aspect of things. Yeah.
Mm. So on this note about future skills,
Mm.
why is there a need to consider future skills for kids? And also, since we're talking about school, do you think what the kids are learning in school are still relevant today?
Wow. I'm sure some parts of it will still be relevant,
Mm.
right? But I think what we need to consider is this, that whatever they learn today, right, may not be relevant in the future, right? Because even more so, we are all living, especially our kids, they are all living in this VUCA world, right?
Mm.
VUCA.
Yes.
Uh, right. V stands for volatile, which means that things are not going to be growing all the time, right? Sometimes there will be a pitfall, sometimes it will be picking up. The U stands for uncertainty,
Mm.
right? I think even more so with things like COVID-19, where I thought
Yes.
2020 is going to be a good year. Boom, things changes all of a sudden, and we have to adapt.
Mm.
C stands for complex. Things are getting more complex as well. There's a lot more factors that is coming along. And then A stands for ambiguous, where there's less clarity, right? So what is most important is that we shouldn't just prepare our children for a specific skill, but rather how can they pick up relevant skills which are allowing them to be able to adapt in this VUCA world, right?
Mm.
Surprisingly, I was just reading up on this, and there's a bit of an acronym involved with the word VUCA, right? So VUCA. With V, volatility, there needs vision, right? The kids need to be able to see something beyond just the current status. With U, right? Understanding. For uncertainty, they need some form of understanding, right? On
Mm.
what we can understand, right? Complexity, they need clarity, right? So C with C, and A, ambiguity or ambiguous, we need some form of agility, right? The kids need to be able to adapt. Right. The last thing we want is, we groom children that mommy, things change, I don't know what to do, and they drop everything. We want to groom
Yes.
children that oh, it changes, sure, calm down. Is there any way? Are there things that we know? Right? Are there things that we can control? Agile enough to be able to change uh, the path. So these are some of the things that is more relevant, in today's world.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you repeat that again? Your
So
A for agility. So
yeah, so VUCA,
I need to write it down.
stands for volatile,
Volatile.
right? Volatile, we need V, which is vision.
Vision. That's really
Yeah.
nice.
So that despite all the fluctuation, the vision is clear,
Mm.
right? U stands for uncertainty, uncertain world. We need understanding, right?
Understanding.
Understanding which are the part that we can control, which are the part we can't. C stands for complexity, complex, right? We need clarity.
I like that.
And ambiguous world, we need agility.
Wow.
And I think that agility is really a skill
Hmm.
that our child, no, our next generation would need adaptability and agility. Yeah,
Wow. These are certainly attributes that we want to inculcate in our children for the VUCA world.
correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think the schools are doing that as well. I don't think that, but I think what is most important, parents shouldn't just focus more on academic per se, because some things in these skills that we're talking about, things like agility, may not be something that the kids can get just from academic. Something, it could
Mm.
be CCA, it could be doing something that is outside of the classroom, where they pick this up, or even interaction with the parents, right? And all these cannot be discounted, right? Education shouldn't just be those in terms of academic. There's a lot of things that they can learn outside as well. Yeah.
Truly, truly. So in what ways, can you give some examples how parents can equip their children with these future skills, besides
Right.
going out?
Yeah. I think let's say we talk about agility, right? We talk about agility, right?
Mm,
Even in these COVID situations,
mm,
right? Where they have to change, we all have to change, right? There are two schools of thought, right? We have parents that says that, oh, I'm gonna be fearful. I'm gonna instill fear in a way, and kids are learning from parents. The way you react is also in a way showing them how they should be responding to all these ambiguous situation,
truly.
right? So all these little actions and what you tell the kids matter, right? Should we be agile? Should we learn how to adapt in these kind of situations? Of course, there are specific skills which I can share later as well on what if there's so many skills that they have to learn, right? What is that one specific skill that your parents should equip them with? So if let's say you look at job per se, right? If
Mm,
you look at future jobs, and this is not done by me, this research is done by World Economic Forum. We look at the top three future jobs, and we are talking about 2030, 2050, right?
mm.
The top three, Sophie, are all in tech-related courses,
Wow.
tech-related areas. Things
Mm-hmm.
like uh, data analysis, things like data-related,
Mm,
software engineering,
mm,
machine learning,
mm,
right? Right. Then, if I'm a parent, I'll be scared, because what if my child don't like technology? Does
mm-hmm.
it mean that I have to force my child to get into tech-related profession, right? What about the doctors? What about the lawyers, right? And do we no longer have consumers anymore, right?
Mm.
So, but these are the top three that is listed. If you're, can you guess which are what is in number 4 and number 5 in top future jobs?
Wow. Are doctors no longer listed?
They are way below.
I thought because from this, current pandemic, the doctors might have a bit more recognition.
Possibly, right? But things are going into tech. Number 4 and number 5 are actually in sales and marketing.
Oh,
So sales and
wow.
marketing are also aspect where the robots or the artificial intelligence are not ready yet to be able to replace that. It is
Mm.
coming in, right? But it is still something of relevant that is relevant to the world, right? In terms of human interaction. So if you look at the top three future skills, future jobs, right? there's one particular skill that is highlighted, which is complex problem solving. So that is
Yes.
one skill that a child would need to start growing today, right? It is not tech related. If you realize there's nothing tech related about complex problem solving, right? So the second skill that is needed is critical thinking. The third skill is creativity. But
Okay.
if you look at the trend, Sophie, critical thinking and creativity has always been around. It has always been an important skills that is needed, right? Um, the fourth and fifth is people management and coordinating with others.
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
people come in the third and fourth, if you realize, right? Sorry, fourth and fifth. The first one is complex problem solving. And since we are talking about problem solving, let me share with you a bit more on why has this become a top future skill, right?
Yes.
The articles were saying a lot about problems that are less complex, be it whether you are in the law industry, in the medicine, or in a corporate. You realize that tech is coming in, whether you want it or not. The door is open, right? People are going to digitalize things,
Yes.
right? Let me share with you this story. Got etched in my head quite a bit. So before becoming a teacher, right, I was working with General Electric as a finance management program. So I was one of the finance leader there, and I was posted to the US, right, which was like their corporate office. And one day I was walking down the aisle. I remember I saw an org chart,
Okay.
right? Like an org chart. Usually you have the leaders, you have the people. I start to see a name of a leader, and I see robot names instead of human names.
Oh my God.
Then when I
That's
look
so
around,
scary.
I saw empty chairs, empty tables, empty cubicles, right? And it got me very, very curious. So I went over to the boss and said that, hey, where are the robots, right? You call it the robot, right? He said, no, these are all systems in my computer, and these are accounting system. I remember my mom used to tell me that, Didi, if you cannot you cannot become lawyer, you cannot become doctor, you can become an accountant, because that is another professional degree, right? And yet accounting is one of the highest declining job. But not the whole spectrum of accountants. Accountants, if you are hearing this replay, don't be, doesn't mean that, oh, I'll be out of job. No, the debit credit portion, anything that can be a routine.
Yes.
AI is coming in, digitalization is coming in to make it even more accurate, even faster than human, right? So these are things that are coming in, which means that problems that are not so complex, there will be someone out there to try to automate it, to try to make it, less of our job. Let computer do it. So left a lot of complex problems that even the programmers are not able to create systems to replace us.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I don't want to foresee what's going to happen in 100 years, where we are all replaced. But so complex problem solving become very, very key to a future skill that your child would need.
Wow.
Yeah.
How can
So,
we like nurture that part of it, as
yeah,
parents?
correct. So when we look at complex problem solving, right, then like, where do I start? Right? It is complex. There's one particular skill that your child will need. It's called computational thinking skills.
Whoa, that sounds so mathematical.
So it's more than just, oh, I need to learn coding to be able to complex. I need to learn, there is a skill called computational thinking skill. While
Okay.
it has the word computational, right, doesn't mean it is coding or computer related. I just
Okay.
wanted to debunk that, right? Computational thinking skills has 4 different sections, which I'm going to try to put it down to a very layman for parents to just pick these tips and then implement it, right? The first one is decomposition, where if something is complex, the last thing you want is getting all bogged down by its complexity, right? The first thing you want is your child to be able to decompose it. Yes, it's complex. How can we break it down? I'll give you an example. I have parents who are very creative with this kind of skill, right? For a young kid, the mom said, this is how I teach my son how to decompose things. She brought him to shopping mall, right? Taking a bus of a certain number, right? MRT, and then walk a certain direction. After next week when they go back to the same shopping mall, right, the mom asks the child to decompose the steps.
Mm-hmm.
The whole process of going to the shopping mall is like a complex problem.
Yes.
Can your child break it down for you? Oh, mommy, I have to go to this bus stop, wait for this bus, right? And then after which we walk to the MRT, take which train, which direction. Is it these are ways to decompose things? Math has also a lot of decomposition, right? All the kids here have done problem solving in math, right? Where
Oh, yeah.
teachers just write chunk of paragraph and then you're supposed to decompose it. And things are all over the place. The child need to be able to decompose it, right? Same things with coding, right? Where we get the kids to, we always see the end in mind, right? The kids will always see, let's say, a mobile app, a chat group that they have to create, right? The next thing they have to do is to decompose it. Oh, we have the title, we have the database, we have the text box where you have to type the chat. There's a button as well. All these are decomposition process. So that's one. Right? That's one technique that the parent can do. The second thing is abstraction, right? Because we all live in an information age. Kids are bombarded by information. I have parents who tell me that, Didi, my child no longer asks me for answers. They go to Google, they type.
Yes.
A whole chunk of information is there. Is your child able to filter information that are crucial to solving the problems?
Okay.
Now, if let's say I have a problem, oh, how do I go live on Facebook with Zoom? Right, that is a problem. I'm going to go Google it. There's so many information about it. Is my child able to filter? Mommy, this one is not relevant. This is a scam. This one is relevant. This one can help me to solve the problem. Now, that is abstraction skill. If you go back to math, maybe this may be more lemon for parents as well. Teachers like to throw in numbers. Some of these numbers may not be even relevant,
Yeah,
right?
it's like to trick
Is
you,
my
right?
child able to, is my child able to say that, Mommy, this one is not relevant. This one, I need it, right? So that is abstraction skill.
Wow.
Yeah, we come to the third one,
Okay.
pattern recognition, identifying patterns.
Okay.
Because problems are evolving, which means that previous problems, which already have a solution, right, allow us to learn something from there. So whenever there is a new problem that arises, does it mean that my child have to reinvent the wheel and think of it as a new problem? Not true. That's where pattern recognition come in. If the child will say, hey, Mommy, this problem is this math problem is very similar to the one that we did last week, right? It's just that teachers changed this number, hide this number, and now there is some form of pattern. So pattern recognition is important. Right. Actually, pattern recognition is also quite correlated to a child's IQ. So kids who have higher IQ tend to be able to connect the dots better. But that doesn't mean that this is not something that they can learn. It takes a lot of practice, right? So pattern recognition is one. That's the third, techniques that the parent can implement. The last one is algorithmic thinking. Quite a buzzword, right? But
Yes.
comes up with step-by-step instructions. So if I know how to decompose it, I know what are the information that I need. I see some pattern. I did this math question before. Can my child then come up with step 1? I have to find this first. Step 2, this is the thing. Step 3, and then I'll get the answer. Algorithmic thinking is the portion where the child's logic will get tested a bit more. So all these four, decomposition, abstraction, pattern recognition, and algorithms come in together to build computational thinking skill, which is important to complex problem solving.
Wow. Very, very interesting. and you can apply this to your daily life, like as you said, for the example of taking a bus to the shopping center.
Correct. Yeah. So I think when I teach coding, that there's a lot of these four components that is involved, right? No matter whether the kids is creating games, creating app, right, creating a website. So all these things will keep coming back in, especially algorithmic thinking, because computer, just run things from top to bottom, right? You put an error there, it will get blocked at a particular line. So these are something that kids in the class appreciate as well, and indirectly they learn all these skills, which are transferable across.
Yes.
Yeah,
I certainly agree and identify with you that in coding you really need all these four aspects. So that's
Yes.
definitely insight.
And the scary part is this, Sophie, because there was one article that I read, and it's quite interesting. I shared it on my Facebook as well, and they were testing corporate lawyers in the US with AI. Human like to do this kind of experiment, like human versus AI kind of competition. So what they did was they picked 20 corporate lawyers to fight against a law gig, they call it, the name of the AI. It's not a physical robot. So if you're imagining a physical robot, no, right? It's just a system that is run in a computer.
Okay.
So what they did was they give the computer and the 20 corporate lawyers 5 NDAs, non-disclosure agreement, full of errors, document that's full of errors. They test in two metrics, the accuracy and the speed. Right, let's talk about the accuracy first. Right? We can kind of know where this is going to go. Yeah, and these are top lawyers. 5 NDAs, the 20 corporate lawyers took about, I think, 1 hour plus, 1 hour 20 plus minute to filter through that 5 NDAs, spotted errors, right? And they got 85% accuracy, which I thought was wow, amazing, right? Guess what is the accuracy for the AI?
100?
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher, right? From 85, we are about 94% accuracy for AI, right? I thought 9% difference was okay, fair enough. Robot probably know how to be more detailed and all that.
Yeah,
But
it's
when
like
you look at
Google
the
search.
time,
Okay.
the time was the one that shocked me, right? If the corporate lawyers, and these are top corporate lawyers, they took about 1 hour plus, right, to scan through 5. Guess how long did the AI take?
I don't know.
Make a guess.
Oh my god. 10 minutes?
10 minutes in seconds.
Oh, this is like
26 seconds.
Google search.
26 seconds. Can you
What?
imagine? Yeah. So to get even higher accuracy. But
Wow.
my point here is that does it mean that our kids shouldn't be lawyer anymore? That's not true, right? Because they are still, because as lawyers, they go through a lot of document. And what is important is that human we have errors. And if there is machines that can allow you to filter through at a higher accuracy, we should be able to adapt and don't see this as a competition, right? Rather, we embrace it and use it to our benefit. In fact, SMU, right? SMU, our universities here, they are very forward-looking, right? Yes. They have the law schools, they have information systems as well. It's natural to combine these two. Where now the next generation lawyers are lawyers who can code, lawyers who will disrupt the industry to help the lawyers to be able to filter things with AI. So things are changing. Things are changing. Yeah. And let's not talk about doctors. Doctors are also not tech foolproof. There are a lot of things that's going in there as well.
Truly. Yeah. So one friend has another question about, how can we encourage your children to be more interested in coding and not see it like, another class?
Yes. We are very particular, for me especially, because we don't believe that everyone should be programmers. So mommy, daddy, if you are listening to this, right, what I can share with you is this. After going through programming educations as well and teaching coding to kids, I realized that there are only a selected few who ended up becoming programmers, right? While parents will say, wow, top 3 are all in tech. I wish, I can groom this interest and that one day my kids will get the highest paying job with the tech world. That's are all our hopes as parents, right? But the kids may not be. And it is important for us to understand that this journey is not easy, even for the kids. If you have learned programming yourself, it takes a certain level of logical thinking process, and interest is important.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
So, definitely. And interest is not something that you can groom overnight. I read this book once, Grit, Grit, right? Where for a child to be successful, you need talent and a lot of effort. Right? Today, Joseph Schooling can be world champion, not because he is just born with a talent, right? He put in a lot of effort. So same thing, every time I conduct my trial classes, I'm looking not just for the effort, because effort I can't see it within the 2 hours, but I'm looking for the little sparks. That
Mm.
there are just some students who can process things a lot better in terms of somehow their mind just think very logically. But what if my child don't have this, right? Doesn't mean it's not something that they can. Doesn't mean that no, then this is not their path. Not true. They may have an interest they can put in terms of the effort that they can equate to their success. So in terms of grooming, expose them to something basic first. Don't go straight into something that is too advanced, right? Mommy, daddy, if you are listening to this, if you are a programmer yourself, right, you know that the world out there is going into things like JavaScript, Python, right? Data analytics, big data, and my kids need to have that to be successful. Uh, yes, right? But if they are in their primary school, right, let's not feed them things that is too advanced. The last thing you
Mm.
want is you kill their interest,
Yes.
right? I know of people where within 5 days I can make your child to be good in this, but let me be very authentic. You can't. It is very difficult. It is something that they have to groom over, not just overnight, but it's years. Even so, after a few years, you won't be surprised if they come and tell you, "Mommy, Daddy, I find that programming is so difficult. Maybe this is not something that I want, but I have gained the thinking skill from it. I want to pursue something else."
Mm.
Right? You should be open to this kind of discussion as well, right? So it is a process of discovery. It is not the easiest, right? But what I can share is that start with something small, start with something easy. And the good thing is this, Sofie, because nowadays there's so many of these colorful, kids-friendly softwares, right? Things like Scratch, MIT App Inventor. Scratch basically allows the kids to create programming animations and games using drag and drop, right? So
Okay.
they no longer type,
Mm.
right? Kids as young as 6, 7, they can't even type, right? Not so fast. They will wait
Mm.
one key by one key, right? But so enough, the 2 hours will be out. So they use codes that has already been pre-programmed, right?
Oh,
They
that's
they
great.
they, they drag and drop and they
Mm.
combine it. So there's not much of a syntax error or like a
Yes.
missing semicolon and all that. But what we are training is the logical thinking process,
Mm.
right? Same thing as well. Within 30 minutes, you can create a mobile application, a
Wow.
simple mobile application on Android, right? Our time, I think it's not possible, right? We have black screen, white font.
Oh
Things are
yeah.
changing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
advice back to the answer is start with something light, start with something
Mm.
small before we go deeper.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think that's very important to build the interest
Mm.
and the confidence.
Yeah.
Go step by step. Yeah. Wow.
Right.
Do you have any other additional tips you want to share for parents listening in?
I always think that as much as hard skill, because I am in this coding line, right? As much as hard skill is important, right? Don't forget about soft skill.
Mm.
You can be the
True.
best programmer, right? But if you can't present well, you can't put that across, you can't work in a team. Forget about being a successful uh, team player, right? Because at the end of the day, we are social creatures, right? We
Yes.
still need that interaction, and so parents, as we are all going into the digital world, don't forget the human element, don't forget the soft skills, right? Which is why in our class, there is that component of getting them to present, getting their ideas to be shot down by friends, and getting them to feedback, right? So these are something that is important.
Mm.
And to parents out there who are listening to this, right? If let's say your child take up and say, "Mommy, I'm interested with this and I want to learn this thing," don't learn for the sake of learning. There are a lot of programmers out there. We have a lot of programming friends, right, who go through the programming route and learn computer science, computer engineering. But where are they, right? Do they actually become programmers, right? A lot of them don't become programmers because of one thing. They don't know how to apply it.
Mm.
So what is most important, even more important, is this, that while your child is learning this, don't forget to start discussion with your kids. Oh, you know how to create this particular game or this particular chat group, right? How can you then benefit? How can you then apply this maybe to a certain group of people, to people who are like less advantaged, people who are experiencing difficulty in their life? So these are some things that we need to expose the child to.
Mm.
I
Mm.
want to share with you on this point. So application is something that's very crucial. I once had a student, right? He's only in primary 1, And I remember he came in, he was doing app development with me, mobile application, right? And he comes from a bit of a troubled family, right? So, and we asked him to come up with an app that can solve a problem in his daily life. And he came in, he said, Teacher Deddy, I want to solve a problem at home, right? I want to stop my mommy and daddy from fighting. Is there an app that allows me to do that? Sophie, can you imagine if a P1 asking me whether is there such an app? You know, I researched there isn't such an app, at least for his age, right? I said that if you really want to do this, let's do it together, right? You know, it doesn't have to be a fully functional one, but an idea.
Yes.
And what happened was that the next thing we know, his idea got shot down by a friend, right? A friend was saying that, sure, you can create an app, right? But when parents are fighting, they're all full of emotions, right? You can have a notification or something, but they're just going to put down the phone and it's going to be a wasted effort. Then another boy supported the boy and saying that, yeah, but the notification was still there. Soon enough, the parents will take a look at the phone and pick it up. And you do that soon enough, it will change. So his idea was this. He said that every time he got locked in the room when parents argue, right? And that fight happened, he feels very sad. He wants to be heard. Right? And it's a very natural feeling and he's very innocent. And how does coding skills apply to this? Right? He created an app, very simple app, where he jot down his feelings and notes on how he feel in simple words, right? And he said that I want this to be sent to two of them separately. Right? I was testing his idea. I was like, why not? Why not just be a standard one? You know, we send, both of them receive. No, he said it's gonna be a two different message. Right? And he named it Little Voice. See, these are the kind of application that you should emphasize in the process of learning complex problem solving. Yeah, and at the end of the day, the child need to see that coding or technology is just a tool. Without the application, you know, you can only go so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, this is such a touching and heartwarming story.
It is.
Thanks for
It is.
sharing.
And then he
Like, I'm like,
presented it to the class.
wow,
True
and
story.
yeah, kudos to the boy who did that, and for you for supporting him and guiding him through.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful story. Wow.
And it's quite interesting because at such a young age, we think that you know, the kids probably wouldn't be able to think of problems, but they actually see it. Yeah,
Yes.
and our goal is really not to try to make your child to be the best programmer. And mommy, daddy, you know, you shouldn't be thinking that, right? Because the best programmers are never taught by teachers. They are self-learners. You know, kids can get very dependent. Mommy, how to do this? Daddy, how to do this? Can you help me do this, do that? Right? But if you want them to grow, right, you should try to pull yourself back. Let them fall. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. The good thing about programming is also you can make mistakes. And there are many ways to get to the same. Doesn't mean teacher Deddy way is the best, right? And kids are having ego, they will try to prove you wrong, to say that is there a better way? And the beauty of it is that this is life, right? You get to that same destination, there are many ways to be successful, right? And doesn't mean that mommy's way or daddy's way is the best, right? There are always ways that they can get there. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Awesome. Well, bonus question for you.
Okay.
You know, our group is about, you know, Hearty Mums. And,
Yeah.
you know, Hearty Mums is really a mom who is very fulfilled and happy. And as a result, she's able to nurture happy kids as well. And one thing I always encourage moms is, you know, do things that make you happy because that really boosts your day, right? So can you share with us what do you do to make you happy?
For me, okay, I find a lot of satisfaction in teaching. So in guiding students who know nothing, right, to understanding something and telling me that teacher Deddy, I can do this in a better way, or I can create this thing, right? So this is where I find a lot of satisfaction. Yeah, and
Wow,
this is
wonderful.
also what keeps me going. So
Yes.
even at a co-founder level, you know, where the team has expanded, we still have classes, right? I still run. Of course, I will have requests, and can you teach and that. But while my time is limited, there are still that select few that I would be teaching. And I also realized after 5 years, there's one thing that I really like to do and find a lot of satisfaction is to identify sparks. Because when I grew up, I realized that there are some things where people are given opportunities, right? There are some parts where I feel that if only I could turn back the time, I would have done this, right? So with that in mind, there are sometimes I will go into other teachers' classrooms, right, to just sit in because I want to identify sparks and give them opportunities. Things like competition, right? Something that I would love to expose kids to. Yeah. So these are small things that I do that keep me going and
Wow.
make me happy. Yeah.
That's really
Correct.
wonderful. Yay, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I really enjoyed your sharing today. Learned so much and a lot of new terms as well. And thank you, Pin, for writing them all in the comments so we all can review as well.
Sure.
So, Didi, I know you have some child classes that moms can connect with you, moms and dads, and
Yeah.
we'll put that link, I guess, in the comments so that they
Sure.
can check it out. You want
Okay.
to say a little bit more about the trial class?
Yeah, so it's a 2 hour trial class where we
Okay.
go down to the very basic, right? To use Scratch as an assessment. Usually, I'll be the one conducting as well, right?
Mhm.
After the session, I will share with the parents a bit more on what are some of the changes in the education system, things like DSA that they can be open to, which are some of the schools that now teaches computing for O-level subject, right?
Mm,
And what are some of the benefits and the journey that we will propose for the kids, right? Moving
okay.
them from scratch, then what's next? Uh, Also, there will be, which I think is most important, is also objective assessment. So having seen so many kids, right, I can kind of see, right, and most of the questions that I ask during the class is planted, and I will note down things which I will then share with the parents after the class, right? Often enough, not let's say if I have 10 students, not all 10 I would say I would recommend to start, right? Most of the time, some of them may need a couple more years before they mature in terms of the logical thinking. But if I identify those that is suitable, we will then put them into a regular class. Yeah.
I see. So this trial class is it done online or it's
It
they
is
go
done
to the school?
online for now. Yes, it's done
Okay.
online. Correct. Actually, most of our classes are still online. Yeah.
Yes. And is that
Right.
a group trial class, is it?
It's a group trial class.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so parents do check it out if you're interested. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Didi, again
Thank you,
for all your
Sophie. Thanks for
sharing.
having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and thank you for joining us, those of you who are there. And yeah, we'll see you in the next Hearty Chats.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all
Bye.
right, bye.